Sanko boy, you better run. Sanko boy, police are come. Sanko boy, you better run. Sanko boy, policeman are come.
Sanko licky love up on the dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko licky love up on the dam and the gala holla murder.
Police are come and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Sanko kissy love up on the dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko kissy love up on the dam and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Sanko boy, you better run. Sanko boy, police are come. Sanko boy, you better run. Sanko boy, policeman are come.
Sanko chase the love up on the dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko chase the love up on the dam and the gala holla murder.
Police are come and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Sanko catchy love up on the dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko catchy love up on the dam and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Sanko boy, you better run. Sanko boy, police are come. Sanko boy, you better run. Sanko boy, policeman are come.
Sanko squeeze the love up on the dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko squeeze the love up on the dam and the gala holla murder.
Police are come and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Sanko lefty love up on the dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko lefty love up on the dam and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Sanko boy,
You better run.
Sanko boy, police are come. Sanko boy, you better run. Sanko boy, policeman are come. Sanko,
You better run.
Sanko,
Police are come.
Sanko,
You better run.
Sanko.
Police are come.
Hello, this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner
Shop now and
founder
save
of the Washington Law Firm, located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
If you are looking to have your statutory declaration, affidavit of income, identity, damage or lost passport, lost license, tenancy agreement, agreement of settlement, power of attorney, last will and testament, and certification of documents, then you need to visit the Alistair Collins firm, located at the Kellyan Mall, 162 Lamaha Street in Georgetown, between Camp and Waterloo Street. Alistair Collins is a commissioner of oaths and a justice of the peace. Make certain you visit him or call for more information at 649-6410 or 685-6448 or 503-1451. And there's adequate parking available. Go down to the Alistair Collins firm and have all of your legal issues settled and brought to the fore. Alistair Collins Firm. Contact them at Alistair Collins Firm.
Sanko boy, you better run. Sanko boy, policeman are come.
Sanko licky love up on the dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko licky love upon the dam and the gala holla murder.
Police are come and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Sanko kissy love upon the dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko kissy love upon the dam and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Sanko boy, you better run. Sanko boy, police are come. Sanko boy, you better run. Sanko boy, policeman are come.
Sanko chasey love upon the dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko chasey love upon the dam and the gala holla murder.
Police are come and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Sanko catchy love upon the dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko catchy love upon the dam and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Sanko boy, you better run. Sanko boy, police are come. Sanko boy, you better run. Sanko boy, policeman are come.
Sanko squeezy love upon the dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko squeezy love upon the dam and the gala holla murder.
Police are come and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Sanko lefty love upon the dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko lefty love upon the dam and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala.
Well, good evening. My name is Mark Benchop. It's just about 9 minutes after 9 o'clock in beautiful Guyana. And you can just imagine how beautiful Guyana is, right? It is so beautiful that if you were to, or if you believe in reincarnation, you'd want to be reincarnated. And where else in the world would you want to be other than beautiful Guyana, right? You wouldn't want to be in Russia and the Ukraine and all those other places where lots of unnecessary conflicts, right? Unnecessary conflicts. And we continue to pray for the people of the Ukraine. They're being bombarded with bombs and bullets and all manner of things. And it's an oppression. It's an unjustified war. And usually we have to speak out when wars are unjustified around the world. And we also have to speak out when people are being crucified, when people economically, politically, or whatever. And we just cannot turn a blind eye to these sort of things. And sometimes it happens closer to home as well. Lots of political crucifixion, economic crucifixion, discrimination, racial crucifixion, you name it. Lots of things. But it's Friday evening. Thank God it's Friday. What is scary about this Friday also, it's Friday the 13th, right? And you know what they say Friday the 13th. Candace Narayan, how are you doing? I've noticed that your beautiful sister visited from the UK. You guys had a ball, all right? Give my regards to her. And good evening to all the other folks. And Candace, give my regards to your mom as well. And your uncle, Compton. Ras Camo, has contributed so much in the fields of arts and culture as well of other stuff in Guyana. Salute to Ras Camo. He deserves a national award. Good man. You guys should know him. He plays the steel pan and all manner of things. He's a good guy, talented guy. So one of these days, we'll probably ask Ras Camo to be on the show with us. Ras Camo is, in fact, Candace Narayan is the niece of Ras Camo. I've seen Candace around quite a few times when I was there in Guyana on the battlefield. Candace was a beauty contestant, and she has won a couple of titles, I believe, right, Candace? Yeah, I'm just talking about Candace because I know her mom as well. Give my regards to your mom, Desiree, and the entire family. All right, so moving away from Candace Narayan, let me say hi to some of the other regular listeners. I've been made to understand that some folks are complaining that they can't get the program, they can't share the program, and it is not opening or whatever. I don't know what you guys are experiencing, but and then the reflection is that you have been blocked by us here at 107.1 FM. No, the regular viewers, we don't block you guys. In fact, we don't like blocking people or deleting them and so forth. But you know the regular transcrappos, when they come on, we just gotta, as we say in Guyana, especially on the quarantine, we gotta dig it in them, right? Okay, so Friday evening, what's going on? What are we having for dinner together? Because I want us to sit and we're gonna have a conversation and all these manner of things. So grab your coffee, grab what is it you want to not like Trump, but don't grab, but get a glass of wine or something. Let's gab. Tonight is your night, as they say in Latin, vox populi, the voice of the people. I want to talk with you guys, and I hope some of our political leaders do take the time out to listen and to read what is percolating through your minds, right? Good evening again to all of you. I see people. That's one of the reasons why I do not like to identify people personally, because everybody wants, everyone wants a shout out. Sanita Rampat, and that's a good friend of mine. Lots of my good friends. Sanita from Albion Village on the quarantine. Albion Village on the quarantine. I say good evening to all the folks at Albion Village on the quarantine. Sanita, good evening to you. And others there from the quarantine. Lots of good evenings. So you guys don't get jealous. Let me see who else. Bentley Edwards says that he has his cup. Take a glass, man. Let's be politically correct. Cup. All right. Bentley, good to see you here. Charlene, dos itinda. Oh, gosh. Colin Barnwell, good evening to you guys. Brenda Braithwaite, Brenda Casey, all the folks, Desiree Simon, Liverpool, and then we have a Desiree Simon as well. Florence Greaves, all of you guys. Hey, guess what? I don't beg you guys for anything. Not often at all. But tonight I'm going to ask you guys to please share the link. Share the link with your friends, your families, your loved ones. Share the link with even some of the trench crappos. Share it because, we're going to have a discussion tonight. A healthy discussion indeed. All right? Again, it's Friday the 13th. I'm looking at some of your comments and let me see here. Rosanna, how are you doing? Everybody, you get your glass of wine. I'll give you guys maybe a quick 2 minutes to share the link. Continue sharing the link so that a healthy discussion. I'll find out what's in your mind. Lots of things we want to talk about, right? We want to talk about the meeting that, wait a minute. I should be drinking some water for this one, but we want to talk about and start getting your thoughts together. We want to talk about this here. Irfan Ali, an opposition leader, Aubrey Compton Norton, met today. Please share the link. We'll talk. And you will share your honest views, your opinions on this meeting, which came out of some sort of out of the blue as we would say in Guyana, right? It just came, like you're sitting and a wind pane just hit you just like that. Right? This is the wind pane. It hit you just like that because it happened just like that. And it happened without the blessings of a middleman, right? It happens without the blessings of the middleman. Where is the middleman in all of this? And was the middleman right about something? Or was the middleman wrong about something? I don't know. But let us not make this program about the middleman. And when we say the middleman, you guys know who the middleman is. All right? But today now we are seeing that the leader of the opposition, Aubrey Compton Norton, met with the PPP folks, met with Irfan Ali. Okay? Met with Irfan Ali. There was no, I don't know. I just don't know. I just don't know. Right? Take a look at this photo. Let me pause for a moment. I'm going to rush because I have Lemon has the night off. So I'm going to go and get me something to drink. And when I say something to drink, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about, right? I'll be right back. Please don't go anywhere. Share the link because we've got to talk.
Sanko boy, you better run. Sanko boy, police are come. Sanko boy, you better run. Sanko boy, policeman are come.
Sanko licky love up on it, dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko licky love up on it, dam and the gala holla murder.
Police are come and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Sanko kissy love upon the dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko kissy love upon the dam and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Sanko boy, you better run. Sanko boy, police are come. Sanko boy, you better run. Sanko boy, policeman are come.
Sanko chasey love up on the dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko chasey love up on the dam and the gala holla murder.
Police are come and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Sanko catchy love upon the dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko catchy love upon the dam and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder.
All right, welcome back to Straight Up at 107.1 FM. Good evening to all you folks on the ground in beautiful Guyana, listening to us via your radio. All right, so I see the first lash here is by Aliyah. Aliyah is saying, "Hey, Mark, I think Aubrey needs to address the public in his capacity as leader of the opposition." Well, these are things that should be discussed. I agree. People should have been informed. This is just my opinion that there's a pending meeting between the leader of the opposition and Irfan Ali. Give the people a kind of like a heads up that this is what's happening. Then come out, because you don't sit and depend on the PPP to write a joint press conference, a press release, come out and you explain how that meeting went, how it was, and so forth. Don't trust the PPP. And I want to say to Aubrey Norton, he has been in politics for a little long, and off, but he has been around quite some time. But I say this, do not trust the PPP. Do not trust the PPP, Aubrey Norton. You know what the PPP wants, right? And whatever the PPP wants, They're going to find all manner of tricks, all manner of tricks in the book to get what they want. It's kind of like, it reminds me back in the days. I don't know how many of you remember. You guys might be old, or some of you might be older than, either myself or JR, but Crawford. But I remember on the quarantine, Sanita Rampat will remember also. There was a brand of bike called Kalai. I don't know what they call it in Georgetown, or Linden, but on the quarantine we called it Kalai. And so, well, I never had a Kalai, right? I believe JR and his brother Ryan, they had a Kalai, but I had a Big Ben. But my dad did promise me a Kalai. Sound like he lied. But he lied. He promised me a Kalai. It was a bike, a nice bike. But I have a friend from Wim Village named Balram Prasad, Balram Singh, sorry. A good guy, nice guy. He's now out in New Jersey. And I borrowed Balram's Kalai, and I was showing off in another village. So a young lady that kind of like is going crazy over me. Can't blame them for that. And so, I was showing off with the Kalai. It wasn't mine, and all I wanted was a smile. Because back in those days, that's all you wanted, man, a smile. Couldn't think of anything else, right? And I finally got what I wanted, mind you, which was a smile. And so the point that I'm making is not that I got a smile, is that I did whatever that was necessary to get that smile. Just a smile, mind you, right? And so what the PPP is doing, the PPP is flirting with Aubrey Norton. Again, this is my opinion, right? He is the leader of the opposition. He has to know what is best, right? Either for his party or for his constituents. He has to know what is best. All I'm doing so far is offering my opinion on where I think it is not, again, in my opinion, it is not heading, sorry about that, it is not heading in the right direction. Here is why. And please hear me out. I want to be objective here. Look at and I get your point, Mr. Wayne V. Caesar. I don't know what the V stands for, but it sounds as though it might be Vladimir. Because they have some guy and he's named Vladimir, One AFC guy in Linden, I think he was a counselor, named Vladimir, right? So Wayne's middle name might very well be Vladimir, right? What's the difference between what Mr. Norton did in meeting with Ali as opposed to what Dr. Richard Van Wistarge recommending from the get-go? Something is not right. All right, fair enough. We'll get into what is right and what is not right. And then we have Deborah Joseph. Good evening to you, Deborah. Deborah said, give the man a break. We didn't even start yet. We didn't even start discussing anything. I don't know who she's asking to give a break, right? You see, that is part of the problem, That is part of the problem. And I don't want to sound like that youngster out in Linden, the MP, Sears, who's always missing in action when it comes to real action. But when it comes to party and promotion and these things, he's there, right? He was once on TV saying they're warning the PPP, warning them. I'm like, really? So let me say this again to Deborah. Deborah, I'm warning you. Don't let us go that route. Let us be objective. Let us have a grown-up discussion. Nobody's against anybody. So there's no need for you to say, give the man a break. Give the man a break. All right. So that we should all shut up, right? We should not have an opinion and just allow our political leaders, as the Calypso goes or the Soca goes, do what you want, right? Let it do what they want. We have no opinion. We have nothing. Let us just shut our mouth and them to do whatever they want, right? But look, I'm one guy. Ain't gonna allow politicians to do what they want. I will offer an opinion. Sometimes that opinion is likable to them and their supporters. Sometimes it's just not. That's the nature of politics. And that's the nature of a democracy. Isn't that what we want? Isn't that what we're fighting against these political vagabonds in the PPP for? Democracy, transparency, freedom of speech, and so forth. But Deborah, poor Deborah Joseph, is saying, give the man a break. I'm assuming she's talking about Aubrey Norton, right? I'm assuming that's what Deborah is talking about. That's who Deborah is talking about. But good evening to you, Deborah. Good evening to you. So Desiree Emmanuel is asking a question here. I'll get back to my point because Deborah said give the man a break. Lunch break. No? Okay. So Desiree Emmanuel is asking here, what is Desiree asking? Right. Here is what Desiree said. Did Mr. Norton go by himself? No, Desiree. In this photograph here, you guys are watching it, is sitting is Irfan Ali. Standing next to Irfan Ali is Anil Nandalal, right? Is Anil Nandalal. There is Mr. Norton. Next to Mr. Norton is the shadow, and you guys who don't understand the British parliamentary system, the opposition MPs are shadow ministers, right? And so the shadow minister of legal affairs, standing next to Mr. Aubrey Norton, is attorney at law, senior counsel, Royce-Dale Ford. So he didn't go there by himself. He went there with Royce-Dale Ford. It's right there. Thank you, Melissa Sue. It's right there. Right there. Right? Standing there. Now, let's go to Brenda Casey. Brenda Casey is making a point. She has a point. And a valid point. And here's why her point is valid. Brenda Casey is saying Mr. Norton has a right to meet with Irfan Ali as a political leader. Of course he has a right. Of course, Brenda. I do believe that all political leaders have that right. Sorry about that, technical problems at the Guyana end of our studio, right? Anyways, let's continue with Brenda Casey here. And good evening to you, Miss Casey. Mr. Norton has a right. Yeah, nobody's saying that he doesn't have a right. No one is saying that, right? Nobody's saying that. But hear what? The PPP has a history of not honoring agreements, arrangements, and all these manner of things. And the only time the PPP is going to meet with other political leaders is when they want something. They want to grab a whole loaf of bread and give nothing. The PPP wants to meet concerning the constitutional appointments of folks in the Judicial Service Commission and other commissions. Of interest to the nation, the entire nation, the PPP just wants to ensure they get their way on everything. But Aubrey Norton, being around for a long time, is clever enough to understand that he should not give in to all that they want. There's got to be some sort of concession. There's got to be some sort of compromise because the opposition also wants something. And of this loaf of bread, The PPP shouldn't be the one running away with this big slice. I've noticed some folks saying that there was a, what is it? They weren't getting me for a moment. Let me just make it clear that, or just get your take. Are you guys hearing loud and clear? Are you guys hearing? All right. So let us continue. We seem to have a slight technical hiccup there earlier. So Brenda, back to Brenda Casey, not Brenda Norton. I see Brenda Norton is always with us. Always, Brenda Norton. The Nortons are always with us on 107.1 FM. So thank you, guys. Now, let me say this. Nothing is wrong with political leaders meeting each other. But the most important thing in the country right now is the elections petition. Right, Anthony Brown? Right, Lily Gulliver? And others. The most important thing right now is the elections petitions. We have 2 elections petitions. And every time we're getting somewhere, the PPP stymie the process. You see this guy standing next to Irfan there is Anil Nan. Time we seem to think we file an appeal. He is advised to file an appeal. And when he files an appeal, guess what it does? It stymies the process. It holds the process up. And if I had my way in advising Mr. Aubrey Compton Norton, I would say, without him accusing me of being a middleman or anything like that, right? Because sometimes advisors mean well. Most times advisors ought to mean well. And maybe this is why today we are seeing this meeting. Right, but look, if I had my way, I would say to Aubrey Norton that, look, there's got to be something. Get something first from the PPP. Get a bite from them, on behalf of your constituents. You got to get something from them. You can't just go into the meeting longhand and expect that they're going to give you something. They're not going to give you anything, Aubrey Norton. They're not. Unless they're forced to. Of course, I think there should be civil discussions and all these different things among political leaders. Right? Rita, good evening to you. What are we going to wait to hear? We cannot be mentally lazy. And intellectually lazy. What are we going to wait to hear? What are we going to wait to hear? Well, let's continue. Let's continue. The opposition has needs. On top of that list is the elections petitions that need to be heard expeditiously. The PPP is blocking that. Why aren't they addressing the holding or to ensure the hearings of those elections are held expeditiously? Why aren't they discussing it? But all the PPP wants to discuss is the appointments of persons for constitutional offices. I agree that is important, right? But why is it so important for the PPP? Is they want these offices to be up and running so that they can get their way. They can get judicial appointments and all manner of appointments that what they're going to do is to keep putting their people. Aubrey Norton has asked for the CVs of those individuals. The PPP has promised to give it to him in a couple of days. He's going to review it. I hope he's not going to just jump just like that and agree to anybody. Just like that. In politics, you need concessions. And now is the time that they've got to be on the bargaining table. Again, if I had my way, I would not agree to any appointments, none whatsoever. And Irfan Ali cannot go ahead with an appointment unless he gets the blessings of the opposition leader. That is according to the Constitution. The regime right now is questionable. Let us get past that stage. Let the courts hear the elections petition in order to conclude whether this regime officially conclude whether they are legal or illegal. You cannot have an administration that is in office under questionable circumstances, and then all they want to talk is about constitutional appointments now, when you yourself, as a government, is deemed by more than half of the population as being unconstitutional. And that's my take on that. I don't know. Let me get back to your comments. Please, guys, let me get back to your comments, right? Because I want to hear the elections petition. Most of you guys want to hear the elections petition, don't you? So now is not the time for inconsistencies. Now is not the time, and this is not directed to Aubrey Norton. This is in general. Now is not the time for inconsistencies. It's either you are an illegal regime, it's either they are an illegal regime or they're not. It's either they are an installed government or they're not. So 1 minute we can't talk that they're installed and they're illegal. And then in the next breath, we're trying to embrace them as though they are legal. I would not have had that approach. The approach would be, as of now, they're installed, they're unconstitutional, and they're illegal, unless and until the elections petition is heard. I don't know if I'm making sense. Let me see some of your comment. I don't know. Let me see some of your comments. Ulrich Patterson wants me to repeat myself. I don't know. I'm seeing here Desiree Vander Cruz Armstrong. Well, people get some Dutch names. Vander Cruz Armstrong is saying, I totally agree. The elections petition, right? The elections petition. That is what is important. I don't want to hear that we've got to confirm the Chief Justice, that we've got to confirm a Chancellor of the Judiciary. And mind you, I'm not against the confirmation, but for me, that should not be a top priority. It is not a top priority. What is a top priority is the elections petition. Let the Chancellor, acting Chancellor of the Guyana Judiciary, let her ensure that those petitions that are there, let her ensure that it is heard. Let us push. The Chancellor of the Judiciary can write to the President of the the Caribbean Court of Justice, asking for that appeal, that petition that was appealed by Anil Nandalal, to be heard expeditiously. When is that going to come up? You know, I was thinking of jumping on a boat or something. Jumping on a boat and go to Trinidad and stand in front of the Caribbean Court of Justice and protest, calling on the President of the Caribbean Court of Justice and others there to call to hold that appeal, to give an early date. We need to get these. What are we going to wait 4 years? 4 years for that to be heard, like what happened in 1997, that the elections petition was heard 4+ years after? Is that what we're going to do? Is that how we're running a nation? Right now, we have a questionable government. We have a questionable president. We don't know whether he's illegal or he's legal. But many of us who are of the view that they have lost the elections, we believe that it is an installed regime and that Irfan Ali is illegal. There's no if, and that is how most Guyanese feel. More than half, because more than half of the people in Guyana voted for the coalition. they did not vote for this PPP regime. Based, mind you, I'm not talking because it's propaganda or want to, talk things right off of my head. Look at what came out of the recount process. Look at what came out when they recounted the votes. After they put aside thousands upon thousands of illegal votes, it showed that the coalition won the elections. But because the foreign folks had vested interest, oil interest, billions of dollars, they felt comfortable with the PPP because the PPP can wheel and deal whether legal or illegal. That is why they were comfortable with the PPP. That is why they were comfortable with Jack Deere and Air Fund. It is not that they don't know that Jack Deere ran a ruthless government, oppressed people. People were assassinated. People were murdered. Hundreds of people were murdered. His administration then and probably now were in bed with drug lords, brutal drug lords. It is not that they weren't aware of that, but it's because they have vested interest now in the billions of dollars. And everybody except the ordinary Guyanese, whether they're PPP supporters, whether they're coalition supporters, everybody except the ordinary Guyanese are getting a cut of this pie. They're not. Everybody else is getting a blessing. Everybody else is getting a top up. Everybody else is getting whatever they're getting out of it. Some are getting billions of dollars. Some are getting hundreds of millions of dollars. But what are you getting? Auntie Drupati, if you're listening to me right now in Port Morant, what are you getting? Mr. Parks or Mr. Gray from Alnis Village, what are you getting? Mr. Trotman from Linden, Miss Isola from Kokwani, Daphne from Ituni. The question is, what are you getting? Nothing. So this whole facade about transparent and free and fair elections, it was oil. That is what it was about. It was about the oil. And the Guyanese people have been taken for granted. So now we have 2 elections petitions. All of those petitions, there seemed to have been a delay. Some of the culprits were in the coalition. But maybe some other time those things will be revealed to stymie the process of the elections petition even meeting to the court. And as it got to the court, we see exactly it was a relay process. The PPP took over now to stymie that process in having the elections petitions to be heard. Now forget about Jack Deere and his rant and his gaffing, telling, who is it, Aubrey Norton about SOPs. Bring your SOPs. Bring your SOPs. No, again, it's propaganda. Why should Aubrey Norton have to bring his SOPs and skin up his SOPs in front of Jack Deere? Why? There's no need for that. Jack Deere turned and said that Aubrey Norton depon gaff. He gaffing, man. You know, forget whether Aubrey Norton was gaffing or not. But there's no need for Aubrey to bring his SOPs and skin it up in front of Jack Deere. The SOPs are in the courts right now. If Jack Deere is serious about SOPs, and they've got to stop this BS about SOPs, they've got to stop it. Take the SOPs that we have in the court right now and skin it up for all of Guyana to see. Since Jack Deere wants SOPs to be skinned up in front of him, skin it up in front of the courts. Open all of the SOPs in front of the courts. And you know what someone who has nothing to hide would say? They will have a joint meeting like what they've had today to say that they have agreed that Let us get the elections petitions over. And the elections petitions can be over in less than a month. Everything can be over in less than a month. Jagdeo and Irfan Ali needs to agree, needs to say to Aubrey Norton and sign on paper that they will stop stymieing the process. They will stop humbugging the elections petitions from being heard. Because when they do so, they are committing treason. Yes, I did say that word, treason. Because the more they step in to stymie that process, the longer they think they will remain in office. And so that is why I'm saying the most important thing right now is the elections petitions. We need the elections petitions to be heard. We need that to be heard. Don't tell us about confirmation of a chancellor and confirmation of a chief justice and putting other people on to become members of the Judicial Service Commission and this service commission and so forth. It is important. Don't get me wrong. For a functioning democracy, it is important. But I want to say this to you guys. It is not important more than that elections petition. We want to get this elections over with, this petition over with. And we want to know whether the PPP that is in office right now, whether they are in office under illegal circumstances. We all may have our opinions based on the evidence, but we want our court to decide on that. And they should decide on that as quickly as possible. And once a decision is made, then all of us will be comfortable. All of us, whether we are coalition supporters or PPP supporters, or whoever you support, we will be comfortable to know that if in the end, as I suspect it will turn out, and the PPP suspects this too, Irfan Ali knows this too, Jagdeo knows this too, that the elections were rigged in favor of the PPP. They are in office under questionable circumstances. That is why they started to cry foul early o'clock. And the poor boogeyman, the boogeyman was Clement Mingo. Poor Mingo, sitting somewhere in Belladrum right now. Poor Mr. Mingo became the boogeyman. They knew it was planned. Why you think some of them, international folks and all of them were at the GCOM headquarters, when in fact they should not have even been there. All of them, and they stormed the place. One of them pushed open the door, a private meeting that the chairman of the Guiding Elections Commission was having with her commissioners, barged into that office. Only in Guyana those things can happen, right? Only in Guyana. It was a setup. This whole thing was a setup. Remember when Chatterjee, the then Canadian High Commissioner, was in Guyana, and then she went on a break, and then the second in command was a guy who teamed up with some PPP people, and then they escorted Charandas with the ambassador's car, the Canadian High Commissioner's car, to Ogle Airport, and her deputy flashed his ID, and they went through special, they got the special treatment straight to the airplane. Red carpet with Charandas. All of these things happened. Every one of those things happened. And they were members of Phantom Squad, Killing Squad, that were guarding Charandas, and that was guarding the deputy High Commissioner from Canada. He was recalled. He was sent packing back. Chatterjee should have been sent packing back too. The elections were rigged, my friends. And Jagdeo and Irfan are aware of that. They know exactly what happened. That is why they're saying SOPs. That's all they can say. But common sense, folks, common sense. If those SOPs are in the hands of the courts, why ask Aubrey Norton to bring his SOPs? Aubrey's SOPs is not needed at this time. Aubrey's SOPs are not valid at this time. What is valid are the SOPs the courts have in their possession at this time. So Jagdale, I hope you understand that. What else? Let me check what you guys say. That's just my take on it. The elections were rigged. We want the petition to be over with. And somebody's saying the blood of Jesus lightning. Okay. Let me see what Hubbard is saying here. Hubbard is saying things going to happen for us soon. I attended a primary school on the quarantine called Wellington Park Primary. Well, two primary schools, Wellington Park Primary and Honest Primary. In the village used to say, things going to happen for us soon. I'm an old man now, and I'm still hearing that things are going to happen for us soon. It seems as though Miss Winette Hubbard and I went to the same primary schools, and we heard the same things from the elderly folks in the villages. And even in church, we heard Jesus is coming soon. My grandparents and my parents heard that Jesus is coming soon. My grandparents heard that Jesus is coming soon. Our ancestors who were enslaved were singing about Jesus coming soon. 400 years they were singing that Jesus is coming soon. And now Winette Hubbard is saying things going to happen for us soon. Good evening to you, Miss Hubbard. Good evening to you. Good evening to you. Good evening to you, Miss Hubbard.
One day at a time, sweet Jesus, that's all I'm asking of you. Give me the strength to do every day what.
Right. Things going to happen soon. Things are going to happen soon. My friend Terry Weeks, all the way in England, all the way in Birmingham, is saying good night, Mark Anthony Benshop, and everyone on the show, from DJ Terry Lionheart Song. I must give DJ Terry a little on Facebook. He plays some really nice songs. Good evening. Good morning to you, Terry, all the way in the UK there. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Hi. Good morning to you. And now I got a message, and this is what it's saying here. The destruction continues. And this is from Jermaine Figueroa's page. He's a member of parliament there in Guyana, right? The destruction continues. This nonsense must stop. People have invested their monies, time, and other resources, and this wanton destruction cannot be the order of the day in this one Guyana. So while and animal them, their goons are in Linden destroying people's lands, people's properties. Is that the one Guyana they're talking about? Is that what they mean about one Guyana? Look, Aubrey has to play real politics with these individuals. Don't give in to them. Let me see what let me see what Miss Simons is saying. Are you saying that the petition should have been the first order of business, knowing fully well that the PPP are not interested in pursuing these cases? Perhaps Aubrey could still use the elections petition as a precondition for signing off on these positions. Well, you have a point. And sometimes you've got to play hardball, you know. And Aubrey is the leader of the opposition. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, he should not have met with them or whatever. But the PPP doesn't believe in consultations. Since when they believe in consultations? Now they believe in consultations. You know, they're only interested in what they can get out of that consultation. Even if they have 5 items and they get 3 out of the 5, they know that they will still be the victor in this. They have won 3 out of 5. And they have nothing that they have in mind to give to Aubrey or the opposition. Nothing. They don't believe in concessions. They don't believe in those sort of things. They don't believe in compromises. And that is why I'm saying the hardball should have been played. That let us hear the elections petitions first. Let us get rid of the elections petitions. And after that, then let us meet. It is not that Aubrey is timing any process. But on the other hand, it is the PPP who is timing democracy in the country by preventing the elections petitions from being heard. That is of utmost importance right now, the elections petition. It is not Aubrey who is holding back these constitutional offices from being filled with individuals who the PPP will prop up, right? They're not. They're holding, they have hijacked, the PPP has hijacked this country right now by not wanting the elections petitions to be heard, right? They're hijacking the country right now, right? So I see some of you guys, you know, we're all gaffing, mind you, right? We all pulling up whatever little opinions you may have. And I'm just sharing my opinions with you guys, mind you, right? And Aliyah is correct. They're not going to accept any precondition. Especially those of us who have been on the ground, know these culprits, these political vagabonds. We know them. We know them. The PPP is gangster. They're not about people. They're not about democracy. It's gangsterism. It's whatever amount of money they can make, they will enjoy it. They don't care about you. You think they care about Auntie Deumati, Auntie Sabitri, Auntie Daphne, Auntie Waveney, Uncle Colin? You think they care about my good friend Vedna? I see all of my friends them on this show tonight. Vedna, how are you doing? Right? They're not concerned about people. The PPP is gangster. They're only concerned about themselves, enriching themselves and a few family members. That is what they are about. I don't trust them in this. And I'm saying to the honorable leader of the opposition, Compton Aubrey Norton, do not trust these people. Do not trust them. Do not sign anything with them. Do not agree to anything with them unless they agree to ensure that within 2 months' time, our elections petitions will be heard. You can't tell me that Aubrey agreeing right now to confirmation of the acting Chief Justice and confirmation of the acting Chancellor and filling up the Judicial Service Commission with PPP members, that if that is put on hold for another 2 months, that there's not going to be any Guyana. No. Again, without repeating myself, let us get the elections petition. We want the elections petitions to be heard. We want it to be heard. Look, let me give you guys this example. You see what the PPP went ahead and did? If they were concerned about proper consultations, they would have ensured that at least one of the 3 persons or 4 persons that the coalition recommended, at least one of those persons recommended should have been sitting on this NRF board, right? But the PPP, the PPP, you think if they were concerned about consultations and respect of the opposition and Aubrey Norton's views or whatever it is, you know what they would have done? They would have said to Aubrey Norton, look, out of respect and in the name of democracy, transparency, and so forth, we want an opposition appointed individual on this board, on this NRF board. But you know what the PPP did? The PPP kicked the opposition and said, to hell with you guys. I think the nominees were Vince Adams, this youngster, Elson Lowe, and Christopher Ram. 3 persons that I can recall. If the PPP respect opposition involvement in this sort of thing, they would have said yes. Right, yes. Put Elson Lowe on this board, or put Vince Adams on this board, or put Christopher Ram on this board. Put them. I would probably go more between Vince Adams and Elson Lowe, right? I'll throw a toss a coin up for either of the two. Should have been on this board. You know, good evening, Chris. You know, Chris has been in the struggle sometimes, but sometimes Chris throws a tantrum and throw up and dash down and lick down and lash up and thing. But, you know, so at least put one of those guys on the board, right? But no, the PPP didn't want that. The PPP put Carlene Rodriguez, right? Who is the ambassador, some UN Guyana ambassador to the UN or something like that. And then it was former private sector commission president and all these manner of things. And then you get Joe Singh there in the middle. And then you get Lamy Till, Lamy that Till in England. Lamy doesn't even know the suffering of the people in Guyana, right? But they just put Lamy because they could play whammy with him. Because he is not concerned about what the hell people are going through in Guyana. That's just the impression, right? He's not concerned about the oppression and the discrimination and political victimization and persecution of individuals in Guyana. He's comfortable. He probably say, okay, yo, it's mine. I'll sit on the boat. I have no problem. My mom is from Guyana, or whatever. And he sits on the board. And then you get Duns. Sorry. You get Mr. Dunstan Barrow also on the board. And this is what the PPP is going to say. That Mr. Dunstan Barrow was a former People's National Congress member of Parliament. And so they got balance on the board that Mr. Dunstan Barrow is part of the opposition. And so they have him on the board. Dunstan Barrow is not part of the opposition. Dunstan Barrow has not been active, as far as I'm aware, in PNC politics or opposition politics. Dunstan Barrow is looking out for himself, maybe like quite a lot of others. But at the end of the month, you know how much money these guys getting? You know how much money these guys getting? I'm sure their salary is not less than $20,000 per month. And as chair of the board, Joe Singh as head of the board, Joe Singh is making nothing less than 30, 40, 50,000 US per month. And now they're coming and talking about consultation with the leader of the opposition. Huh? Now they're talking about consultation. Now they know about consultation. Now they know that when it suits them. But these guys just agreed for $200 million to be withdrawn. Taxpayers' money, $200 million from the oil wealth, right? From the NRF fund. $200 million US dollars, which is equivalent to 41 something billion Guyana dollars. Where is that money going? Where is it going? Where is it going? And then y'all telling me, Mark Anthony Benchop, about consultations with the PPP, and let us wait and hear what is going to come out of this. Y'all sit and wait. Me am sitting and waiting nowhere. Meanwhile, wait for hear what coming out of this. I already know what coming out of this. I already smell what coming out of this, and it doesn't smell right. Mark my words here tonight on Friday the 13th. Mark my word. All of you, mark my word. We are going to hear that the leader of the opposition no longer feels comfortable meeting with members of the installed PPP regime because it is not bearing fruits. It is not going to bear fruits. I'm usually an optimist, but when it comes to political hustlers in the PPP, I'm not an optimist at all of anything good coming out of this. Watch and mark my word on this here. Mark my word. Aubrey will no longer attend the meeting after maybe the second or third try. It is not going to happen. Putting that aside, what else let's, in dealing with this and wrapping up on this, what more? What more can we discuss? I already gave you guys my opinion. Aaliyah Waldron is asking me here, Mark, can you help me and other supporters to locate the chief whip? How am I going to, where am I going to locate the chief whip? What you guys want me to do? Call the chief whip and ask you, we there? The people looking for him? I don't know. I can't find the chief whip, man. I can't find the chief whip. I've known Chris for a while. Chris Jones. Chris Jones is a very ambitious individual. Don't get me wrong. He's nice. He's been absent for a while. He's been absent for a while. And sometimes we shouldn't assume, because there are times when we don't know what people are going through, in life. But whatever it is, I want to wish the brother all the best, and I do hope that we can see more of him. He has been absent for a while, but I do hope we get to see more of the brother pretty soon. Kenneth DeFlormont. Let's see what Kenneth is saying here. Mark, if elections petition follows the path according to the statute, it would take approximately 12 to 18 months to see its conclusion. Fair enough, Mr. DeFlormat. I was just being overly anxious when I said 2 to 3 months, because it's over 2 years now, man, and we want to get this thing over with. Afra says that Christopher Jones probably is cutting his hair. Some of you guys are wicked, politically wicked and mischievous. Good evening to you, Afras. Now let's see what our friend from Christianburg, Angie, is saying. Mark, right, it is set up for the ABC EU countries to back the rats and blah. You know what it's about, right? Colin is saying the entire opposition has been absent for a while. That's not true. Don't come here with your propaganda, please. Some of them are on social media. You see them on Facebook. Come on. You see they do their little Facebook thing. Come on, Colin Barnwell. Good evening to you, sir. Let's Deerput went behind Corbyn's back and gave out to his friends and families 17 radio stations, or 15 plus radio stations, 15 plus radio station licenses to his friends and cronies. That is true. And family members. Remember, he gave about 3 or 4 licenses, radio licenses to his nephew-in-law, Robert Prasad. Robert Prasad and his connection, they sold their radio station license for $100 million dollars to answer a call. $100 million dollars. But yet, according to the Guyana National Broadcast Authority, once you have a radio license, you can't pass it on to someone else. And there's precedent that, right? They argue that against Sharma. When Sharma, another TV station, I believe, or something like that, they said, no, you can't. It's not in the license. But yet Robert Prasad, the nephew-in-law of Jack Deere, they and their people were allowed to sell their radio station for about $100 million Guyana dollars to answer my call. But nobody else can do it, right? So I called GNBA. I called GNBA the other day, and I said to GNBA, I want a frequency for Linden. Some people like really, as they say, some people like mess up Mark by. They're going to come and be on top of the world, economically and otherwise. They like mess up Mark. Imagine the people at GNBA say you can't even pay money another frequency. Well, of course, I asked for an extra frequency for Linden and Region 10 under the coalition, and I know they mean give me nothing, and I'm still waiting, right? But I asked the GNBA, what about my application for frequency in Linden? Because right now, Linden has hits and jams. They're about entertainment. And they have NCN TV and radio. They're about propaganda. They're propaganda. So there's no other view in Linden other than when they tune into either straight or Aki or Dane's or Duncan's program. These programs they tune into to hear the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. They don't have anything else. And so the folks at GNBA say, you ain't even get money for pay where you get right now. You're going to get money for pay for extra TV radio station frequency in Linden. I smiled and I said to them, I said, other people have an opportunity to acquire frequency in other regions, even though they owe 10 times more than what I owe, right? But y'all didn't tell them that they owe more than I owe. Y'all still give them an extra frequency, right? Or an opportunity to take over an existing frequency. You see the point that I'm making, but poor meters always jump on me. I hope y'all reading between the lines, the propaganda and so forth around the place, right? The propaganda around the place. What else can we talk about quickly before I go? Right? This guy is a boxer, Delon Kuru. He has represented Guyana, and we respect him for listening to us here. Delon Kuru has a boxing gym in Connecticut. Support his brother's boxing gym. Support his boxing gym, because at one point in time, he made all of us feel proud to be Guyanese. He carried that flag in the boxing ring, and he boxed on behalf of all of us. So we should support, even if you don't live in Connecticut and you know friends and families in Connecticut, and they want to exercise or whatever, check out Karu's gym, boxing gym. Good night to you, Mr. Karu. All right, one thing else before we go, right? No, I'm not going to say anything about Rickford Burke and their organization revoking an invitation they sent to Mark Phillips. I'm not going to talk about that, man. Other than, why send an invitation to somebody? Y'all understand what I'm trying to say, right? Y'all understand what I'm trying to say. Let's not be confusing when we send our messages out, man. Because if I consider somebody to be a fraud, somebody to be illegitimate, somebody to be a house slave and all these different things. I'm not going to be inviting a person for break bread and eat bread when I already know who they are. You know, it's not like we don't know. But why would we want to sit on the same stage next to individuals we just consider to be oppressors? Good evening to Rickford Burke, man. Good evening to you, Rickford. Good evening to you, Rickford Burke. We gotta talk, man. We gotta have some serious discussion. Some serious discussions. Now back to Guyana. Back to Guyana, right? Back to Guyana. Look at what you know that the top GWI they knocked off workers because they don't look well. This guy is a black guy, right? But he is of Indian descent, but he's a black guy. But they knocked off 95 or 98% of the people that they knocked off at GWI are persons of African descent. And this guy has the nerve, according to newssource.gy, this is Gordon Mosley's online stuff, supported. GWI saving $240 million annually with staff reduction. So they knock off the people and they're saving money, but those people are without a job, right? But they cry and they complain all the time about some fictitious numbers of 7,000 workers that the APNU government knocked off, whereas that number is about 3,000. They were laid off because the PPP killed the sugar industry, and the people got the severance. They got every single thing, and on top of that, it was the coalition that kept bailing out the sugar industry and the workers of billions and billions of dollars. And this Kunumunu, Sheikh Bach, who wrecked the country when he was Minister of Education, he was Minister of Housing, and then prior to the coalition getting into office, he was a CEO at GWI. And then when they got out of office, he became just probably Naki rum all over the place. And then he's back again. Terminating the services of people left, right, and center every single time we turn. Shame on these guys. They're saving money and knocking off hundreds of individuals. Hundreds of individuals, and they're saving money. I don't know. Oh, Father. I just don't know. The discrimination is too much. And it's painful. It's painful. Notice Roysdale Ford, like he getting fat thereby. God. Wait, like Air Finale transfer some of the belly to Roysdale? No, man. Roysdale will going on there, buddy. All right? All right. Getting back to some serious things here. Again, to conclude, I don't trust this here at all, this meeting. I don't trust it. Right? Somebody said, yes, the internet is being jammed. Maybe in Guyana, it's a bit slow there. But let me see what Miss Booker. Hi, Miss Booker. How are you? Mark, please extend condolences to Lincoln Lewis and Semple families on the death of one of their loved one, Ted Semple, who transitioned today. Indeed, Denise. Indeed. Condolences to Lincoln Lewis and his family, the Semple's family from West Coast Berbice, and his family and friends, other places, other parts of Guyana. Condolences to Mr. Ted Semple and his contributions to Guyana. Thank you for that reminder, Ms. Booker. That's why I love a lot of you listeners. We are a family right here, right? There are times when we don't agree on everything, but we respectfully agree to disagree, right? And that is the essence of democracy. What else can we do before we go? That's all I wish to say for now, though, right? It's 21 minutes after 10 o'clock. Again, they have met. Bottle of water, without the middleman. And join me in a word of prayers, because this is not going anywhere. Mark my word. For years, the same trick the PPP pulls out of the hat, the same trick everywhere, every time. That's why I'm saying this is not going anywhere. And wait until Aubrey Norton make that announcement sometime after 1 or 2 meetings. They're to meet next week. They're going to meet again next week. Pray for Guyana. All right. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Be safe. Be safe. Hi, Rhonda Lane. Good evening to you. Eon Selby and everybody else. Chelsea Chipler. Is it Chipper 68? Hi, how are you doing? All right. I've got to go. If there's any emergency news, you guys will hear from me over the weekend. And if there's nothing else, then I'll wish you guys a great, great weekend, man. I don't know. Pray for the politics. Gary Greenwich, pray for our politicians, man. These guys, everybody, they know it all. Everybody knows it all. Everybody knows it all. Poor middleman. Richard Van Westjars, poor middleman. Get all sorts of accusations leveled against him. His personal, this, he, that. Wants to be the middleman. Well, I guess Mr. Norton has finally met with Irfan Ali and the PPP without a middleman. The only middleman is that security guy that is standing there in the middle. And everybody's happy, right? Okay. We'll see where it goes. I can tell you guys this. Again, it ain't going nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. Because the PPP will not budge. They will not give any concessions to Aubrey Norton and the APNU, AFC. And watch the AFC Ramjatan and them fight to be in the next meeting. Because they will argue that as opposition and as a part of the opposition, controlling 40% of the opposition, the parliamentary seats, that Ramjatan believed that he should have been at that meeting as well. Watch out what's going to happen. Meanwhile, we've got to pray for the people in Linden.
It's very sick. Okay, umbrella. I can't hide. Okay, the man in the red hat is advising them how to put. Even if the girl was in there, this is what they do. She put up resistance, so this is her pay for putting up resistance and asking questions. Red hat.
Yet all they want is consultations. And look what they're putting people through. Shame on the PPP. Shame on Irfan Ali. Shame on those vagabonds who have rigged their way into office. See you guys later. God bless you. Have a great weekend and be safe.
Well, the gas raise up and the grocery raise up. I think the government could do something about that. Because people taping and raise up top dog, you don't know. That all what I have to say. They should really do something about that.
So, this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington law firm located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
Sanko boy, you better run. Sanko boy, police are come. Sanko boy, you better run. Sanko boy, policeman are come.
Sanko licky love up on the dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko licky love up on the dam and the gala holla murder.
Police are come and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Sanko kissy love up on the dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko kissy love up on the dam and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Sanko boy, you better run. Sanko boy, police are come. Sanko boy, you better run. Sanko boy, policeman are come.
Sanko chasey love up on the dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko chasey love up on the dam and the gala holla murder.
Police are come and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Sanko catchy love up on the dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko catchy love up on the dam and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Sanko boy, you better run. Sanko boy, police are come. Sanko boy, you better run. Sanko boy, policeman are come.
Sanko squeezy love up on the dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko squeezy love up on the dam and the gala holla murder.
Police are come and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Sanko lefty love up on the dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko lefty love up on the dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko boy, you better run. Sanko boy, police are come. Sanko boy, you better run. Sanko boy, policeman are come.
Sanko licky love up on the dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko licky love up on the dam and the gala holla murder.
Police are come and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Sanko kissy love up on the dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko kissy love up on the dam and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Sanko boy, you better run. Sanko boy, police are come. Sanko boy, you better run. Sanko boy, policeman are come.
Sanko chasey love up on the dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko chasey love up on the dam and the gala holla murder.